Welcome to the Assessment Security Training by the Maine Department of Education. Today we'll be looking at logistics, planning, and scheduling of the assessments. Students should have the opportunity to learn the content being assessed. They should be familiar with assessment-taking strategies and with the types of formats and scoring used on the assessments, such as multiple choice questions, multiple select items, multi-part items, constructed response questions, extended essays, testing platforms, online tools when applicable, and scoring rubrics. They should also understand that their results will be included in their school records, a score report will be provided to their parents or guardians, and results will be used by teachers and district staff to help improve student learning. Please encourage your students to do their best, do their own work, make sure they understand and follow directions, respect other students, and not share any assessment items with anyone before, during, or after administration. It is a school district's responsibility to ensure that all assessment administrators and proctors are prepared and trained. Primary guidelines include proctoring by proximity, meaning roaming around the room to be observant of student activity. Do not assist or coach students directly or indirectly. Do not leave the room unless another assessment administrator or proctor is available to remain and observe the students. Avoid working on other tasks such as lesson plans or grading papers. Having a proctor present during assessment sessions in addition to the administrator is recommended. This is not a requirement and may not be feasible in all situations. It allows continuous supervision of the assessment administration in case an assessment administrator must leave the room. In addition, all education technicians must be monitored by a teacher during administration. It is important to provide an optimal assessment environment. This room should be quiet, orderly, comfortable, and have adequate lighting and ventilation. The room should minimize distractions and disruptions for students as they take their assessments. A do not disturb sign should be placed on the door to alert others not to interrupt. Generally, the Maine DOE does not require that seating charts be created to show where each student was sitting for a particular session. If a certain assessment dictates a different seating chart policy, that specific policy overrides this statement. Students are not permitted to access any unauthorized electronic device used for communication, for capturing images of the assessment or room, or for data storage that can be used to compromise the validity, security, confidentiality of the assessment. To achieve valid and comparable state assessment results, students must have no prior exposure to the items on the assessment. It is critical that all staff who have access to assessment materials protect them from exposure at all times. Assessment materials must be handled and stored securely. No paper version of an assessment or student work, including any record of computer-generated responses, may be retained. Administration manuals and coordinators' manuals are not secure materials and may be discarded after the administration has concluded. For both online and paper-based assessments, student login tickets and/or scratch paper must be collected and shredded at the end of each session. Duplication of assessment materials is prohibited. Duplication includes but is not limited to audio taping, videotaping, photographing, photocopying, and handwritten copying. This includes both online and paper-based materials. When using paper-based assessment materials, monitor the distribution and use of these materials. Secure assessment materials must be locked after each day or period of administration. Under no circumstance should anyone have access to assessment materials other than trained school personnel designated to be directly involved with administration. You are responsible for protecting assessment materials from being viewed by unauthorized individuals. As assessment coordinators or administrators, you are ultimately responsible for the security of assessment materials while they're in your school building. It is critical that you perform the following steps. Inform staff and students of assessment security and ethical considerations. Make sure no phones, cameras, or other electronic devices other than the online device itself are used during sessions. Collect student login tickets and scrap materials for shredding. At all times during assessment administration, the assessment administrator must be present. The administrator has a critical role in ensuring a successful administration that results in meaningful information about student achievement. Some of the important tasks of the assessment administrator include: begin all standardized assessment administration procedures exactly as indicated in the manual. Read oral instructions to the students exactly as they are required by the appropriate manual. Monitor student behavior closely for adherence to proper assessment taking practices. Ensure there are no distractions during the administration, such as talking. The assessment administrator also ensures that students are not viewing other students' devices or answer documents. They ensure that all login tickets and other materials used for online administrations are destroyed immediately after students have completed the assessment. In the case of requests for assistance, simply encourage students to do their best. Certain documentation of an assessment administration must be maintained for 1 year beyond the administration. Documents may be maintained at the district or at individual school levels with district assessment coordinators or school assessment coordinators. Administration documents that must be maintained include training materials and personnel training sign-up sheets, security and privacy agreements and/or non-disclosure forms, assessment schedules and seating charts if they are used, pack-in lists and shipping records of any paper-based materials. After review of all test security and privacy protocols, school assessment coordinators, administrators, and proctors must sign a security agreement and return to the district assessment coordinator or principal. You do not need to send the agreements to the Department of Education. This agreement attests that you have read the appropriate manuals and viewed this security webinar. You agree to follow all assessment security policies as instructed. You agree to report any potential irregularities as instructed, and you acknowledge that results data will be analyzed to detect any unusual patterns. Thank you for joining us on the Maine Department of Education's Assessment Security Training webinar. If you have any questions, please reach out to one of our coordinators listed here on this slide. Have a good day.